how many times, right? So I managed to fail and mess up quite a few times as far as relationship goes.
Builds character.
It does, and it gives you a path. Well, I ended up going to work for a utility company in California, and a large one. They will remain nameless, but I think they're in the news enough now to where everybody will probably know what I'm talking about. Back then, when I was there, a neighborhood in San Francisco in San Bruno was blown up. There was a gas pipeline in the ground that blew up or ruptured. It killed 8 people, and it burnt down 38 houses to the ground. 58 houses were damaged in this thing. And so imagine, 19 houses on each side of the street with a 36-inch gas main that had ruptured, and they couldn't turn it off for a couple hours. So these houses were destroyed. And it came down to an integrity piece. And ultimately, the company that I shifted back into that I loved, great people that worked there, they didn't have the integrity that they taught us about in the military. So that's when I really began to struggle with the fact that, hey, wait a minute. And I started to realize I was different. Not better, not worse, just different. And so I stood my ground, actually, and I lost everything. And as a result, I blew the whistle. I gave forth some information, which was used properly. The government, did their thing. But ultimately, I did not know that what was coming next for me was going to be followed with, hey, you're doing the right thing. You have this honor. However, you're going to lose everything as a result of that. And when somebody says, hey, you can sleep at night because you told the truth. Well, in a way, yes. I mean, you can sleep with this piece of integrity, but as you're losing everything, you're losing your home, you're losing your kids. Family thinks you're crazy because why wouldn't you just keep your mouth shut and stay the course? And so I wasn't sleeping well at night. We'll say that. And actually, about 6 years ago, I had a plan to go suicide by cop. In Orchid. I had returned back home. I was pretty much homeless at that point. I returned back with my mom, and I developed a plan. I didn't want to hurt anybody, and I couldn't hurt myself. But I was done. I was done with this world is filled with corporations, and nobody cares about anything that anybody went through. I had friends had passed away. It had been a struggle, and I was done. And so my plan was to ask basically try to work the cops into a spot that they'd take me out. Well, thank God that the deputy that came through the gate, he was a veteran, and he came through and he says, "Hey, you're a veteran, right?" I said, "Yes." He says, "You're going to be all right." And I said, "No." And I said, don't ever let me out of jail. I was on my way to jail. Threats and everything else, and so. Ultimately, that was the first person that put the bug in my ear that I was going to be okay. And through this transformation, I went through Veterans Court, here in Santa Maria, and these Veterans Courts that are popped up around the nation. I know the recidivism rate at one time was less than 5%, so you got very few reoffenders. Now it's growing a little bit. However, it's still a very good. It's a very good program across the nation that's giving veterans these opportunities to kind of get back on their feet. And get them introduced back into the VA. The VA's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot.
And for the better. And I'm going to say it on record, for the better.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it right now. Thank you, Vietnam veterans, for everything you ever went through. Please know that it did not go unnoticed. What you went through coming home and what you fought for has given us everything that we have today. So thank you. And obviously the welcome home is the thing, that you didn't get the welcome home. But
that's a huge point you brought up. The veterans, not the organization, but that era of Vietnam veterans who probably suffered most in American culture, who were spit upon, swore upon, not given jobs, threatened. Made the biggest impact. I mean, World War II is the greatest war of all times, but the Vietnam veterans made the biggest impact today.
Unsung heroes. And we have set out with our group, and we'll talk more about this, is to honor the Vietnam veterans especially. There's been a lot of honoring Korean and World War II vets. My family, I know. Yes, enough. There can never be enough said. But it's also at the point I feel that it's time that the Vietnam veterans, who are passing at an alarming rate as well, get the respect they deserve. And so, like I said, thank you, men and women, because that struggle, I just hope that somebody hears this that can sit there and be able to feel like they can say you're welcome, because we really do. Like, we have more today than we've ever had for veteran services. Well, we may never be where we can be. However, that's also, I'm going to call out our vets. That's also because of stubborn people like myself that waited 18 years to go get a claim file, to do anything. You know, we are stubborn. And so now I'm saying it. There's all these programs and resources. I mean, you invited me into your studio.
I did.
You know, this is another opportunity
for
to
both
network.
of us to share.
Yes. And so the fact is, we have these things available. Let's take advantage of it. So
I have two brothers. Obviously, I'm Air Force. I had a brother in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
He, I think 6 years in the Army, even was in Germany. 20 years later, he still won't file for benefits. Stubborn. He's as messed up as the rest of me. Yeah. And my other brother's a Marine. Yeah. He filed and got his benefits. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but we all earned something due to our sacrifices. And some of us are more stubborn than others to talk about it.
Sure.
All right, we'll take a quick break here, and I'll bring you up on the next segment. But I want to hear everyone. Steve, I appreciate you. We'll take a quick minute break. Stay tuned for the commercials out there. Have a great day.
John is an employee at one of the most famous firms in the city of New York, so his job is very hectic, and he realized that it is necessary for him to go and finally take a vacation. But he went on a vacation without planning out the details, and wasn't able to truly enjoy where he went because he had to think about so many things that he didn't plan for. Instead of enjoying his time away from work, he came back with more stress that he was not able to take full advantage of his vacation. But this year, a coworker suggested him to try World Ventures this time to make his vacationing more enjoyable and less stressful. They do not require you to plan anything outside of your transportation, which is also available at discounted rates. Your stay, your transport, and many meals are planned by the club. John liked the idea very much. He tries World Ventures, and his experience with the club was amazing, as he made many friends there with whom he had a great time. John recommends that everyone should try this club, as they are the best in business. See how the VIP-vacation-club.com can give you the right experience without all the hassle. Enjoy the VIP experience that only...
Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe, with a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything you want to be. So let's bring the community together, and let's bring the world to you. Join us now.
Listen, check it. Tried to build a bridge, instead I burned it down. Oh, I tried to lift them up, but found me beaten down to the ground. I was too weak to face my pain.
we're back in the office with Joseph Skoda. I'm wearing my American Legion shirt right now because as a past commander of Post 56 in Santa Maria, current commander of the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 82, and constantly involved in several different veterans organizations, including the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm even a Moose member. Who knows?
All right.
But I want to hear more about you, Steve, and in which you started and developed it in the Santa Maria community. Let's know a little bit more about that.
Well, I'm wearing my Band of Brothers.
Show it to everybody. There it is.
I'm wearing my Band of Brothers jersey. So this is actually a commemorative jersey, and I'll give you a little brief description of things. That's the front. Here's the back.
Here's the back. 03.
Yeah, so 03 because I was an 0311, right? I was a Marine grunt, so
okay.
That was my MOS. So I went with 03, not 3. So everybody, stood out as 03.
Okay.
03 is infantry. So on coming out of that darkness, spending time, I too have belonged to many organizations, and I have the utmost respect for all the organizations. I am 43 years old now. About 6 years ago, I'm 37.
About over the hill.
Yeah. So one thing for me is I love to compete. I love healthy competition.
Yeah.
And I remember playing softball back in the Marines, back on Yokosuka Naval Base. Right, where the Marines had a team, against the Navy, and man, it was awesome. And so I hadn't played in all these years, and a friend of mine picked me up, and I was still going through my recovery, things like that.
Yeah.
And he picked me up, he takes me out to the softball field, and I had a great day. So this idea was born. The Marine Corps League here, actually, 1340, started a softball team, and we lost every game. We had two seasons we played. We were 0-20.
I think I remember that year.
But we had so much fun, and we would get together in formation and run and call cadence. So people were flocking over to us like, what the heck are you guys doing over here, right? And ultimately,
you're big Marines.
Yeah. And so then I remember a guy, he came up, he had a Navy shirt on, and he would come stick his chest out, and I'm laughing. I'm like, nope, sorry, right? Typical Marine fashion.
Typical.
Well, it was time to take some time off. I think winter time was coming up, and I wasn't ready to be done playing ball yet.
Right.
We were only going to have maybe six Marines come back out for the team, so we needed to do something. So I went back to that Navy guy, and I said, hey, remember me? And he's like, yep. And I said, would you be interested in starting kind of an all-service team, right? All different branches. Let's open this thing up, brother. Because the rivalry is still there, of course. Well, we ended up with yes, and so most of the time, yes. But we ended up with 21 people willing to play on a team. Now the problem is the city's roster is only permit 20. So here I am. I'm thinking, all right, it's $500 I think to field one team, right? And we don't have. We're all trying to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Absolutely, some of us still are.
And so we knew in traditional fashion, I don't care what branch you are, you don't leave one behind. Nobody does, right? And so that's our credo. And so quickly, I reached out to my sister who was in the Air Force up at Vandenberg, and her husband at the time, he was up there as well. So I reached out and I said, hey, you guys have any active duty people that would want to come join? So very quickly, we went from having that one roster of 21, not knowing what to do with, we had the two teams. And so we started with Team Honor and Team Courage, and naming them after the core values, right? Absolutely. And so we played, and it was just magical, right? And pretty soon you started to see other people come out. We had these cool jerseys made. The first two jerseys were black and white, Honor and Courage were the two teams. Then I put it out on Facebook. Is there anybody who's interested in starting another team in another area? So another guy I'd never met before, a Marine, Angel, he contacts me and says, hey, I live in Lompoc. I'd like to have a team. So Team Commitment was born. Honor, Courage, and Commitment.
Damn.
No offense, but we're starting with, the core values first and the Navy as well. But
that's okay.
Then we started to see it shift, and we started to see the camaraderie was bringing people together, right, to play a game on a Friday night. How awesome is that?
That's awesome.
It was something that the other groups, there's a lot of stuff going on, parades, barbecues, we have dining establishments, we have
where
bars.
We live, absolutely.
We have everything for vets, but what we didn't have was like a recreational sports program for vets. So quickly this became a thing, and as we sit here right now, we have 7 teams of all veterans and a police department team. So
7 teams?
7 teams. We have 120 veterans from age 75 years old down to, like, I'd say 20, 23 maybe, active duty Air Force, that all get together on a Friday night. So there's, we have our own division now. It's called the Band of Brothers, the division now.
The Band of Brothers division.
Now, interestingly enough, on the name, I was coming here to this building at the Vet Memorial area, and I was coming here and I was like, I was struggling with, are we going to call it Brothers in Arms or Band of Brothers, right? And we all know HBO is Band of Brothers, but we all know Shakespeare is really where the phrase was coined from, Shakespeare and Henry V. He who shed blood with me today shall always be my brother. So I love the Band of Brothers aspect. It's a hell of an Army unit for sure. The amazing group that parachuted in, right? You can never take it away from them. They're the true Band of Brothers. But there's something in the meaning of he who shed blood with me today shall always be my brother. And when I say he, I also mean she, right? We have our sisters.
Of course.
But if I come across you on the street, right, and you're struggling and I'm struggling, it goes back to the old poem of, how do you help the soldier in the hole? It's the other soldier that jumps in the hole with him. It's not the people up the top that are throwing him meds or anything else.
Nope.
That does help, but it's not the same. So we're shedding blood that day in the theory,
together.
The sense that, yes, I would shed blood today.
Yeah.
So it became this thing. Now, a Marine buddy of mine came up and he said, Steve, I've been waiting to give you this. And he reaches out his hand and gives me a coin. Coins me like that. And I look at the coin and it says USMC Band of Brothers. So the name, there it was that night, and so boom, Band of Brothers was born. We've got the name for it. We started out with those teams. We have what we have now. But along the lines, we also developed a billiards team for those that want to shoot pool. We've got a bowling league now that's got it, at our Rancho Bowl here. We've got 100 plus people that are bowling together. We opened that one up to family and friends of veterans as well. That way, we're bringing the community back in, bringing the whole family in. Our wives have started a spouse group for veteran spouses because the spouses are always left out.
That's true.
We go, we get this help. But you know who the real heroes are, right? Those who have put up with us, whether it's our parents or our spouses,
our children.
Or children. Exactly. So
I'm military brats.
So you know it, and so that's been a great thing. That kept bringing us together, But that's camaraderie. Now, I have a feeling when you raised your hand, right? I swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That was purpose. That wasn't camaraderie that we did that for. We did that for purpose.
That was a purpose, a pride.
We needed purpose. Yeah. We needed to go do something, at least volunteer to be there for something. Yeah. Those, and this is where our group becomes a little bit different than some. We don't care if you're a combat vet, non-combat vet. I don't care if you had an OTH discharge. I don't care as much because maybe something happened in your time in the service, and who am I to judge, right?
We've all experienced something.
Who knows? Maybe, yeah. So the OTHs, a dishonorable discharge, in my book personally, and I believe it's pretty much a standard, you're not even a veteran. You've had a dishonorable. You lose those rights. Anything above that and beyond, it comes down now to saving lives. So we started to see that people would come and they get on a softball field. I had one guy I remember, he was shaking. He could not drank so much, isolated so much, the anxiety, the fear of being out in public was too much. Shaken, couldn't throw a ball. Damn. And then, and years later now, he's been with us, and the guy has opened up. I mean, we have people that have come out, and a wife spoke one time. She said, my husband hasn't left the house in 2 years. That's what's killing people. So we've got them out of the house. We've got them together, the camaraderie. And now the purpose is born because we decided that in order to earn this jersey here, you have to not only commit to your team, to the camaraderie, you have to volunteer in the city to the youth of the city. You have to do the volunteer events. So last year alone, we did 38 events in and around the city of Santa Maria and Orchid to include, color guards, all the youth events the city puts on. We are the ones who are out there volunteering for it. The different runs, Special Olympics, different groups, because it's part of integrating back into society as much as it is having a purpose, man. Seeing a child or a youth or a wife or a veteran or anybody come up and just see those shoulders drop You know it's priceless, brother.
I know it is.
So we've started this, and then my mentor, who helped me through all my process of getting back going, he was a Vietnam helicopter pilot in the Marines, and I wasn't in the mood to talking to too many people at the time. He comes up and he's got this picture album, and it's got CH-46 helicopters, right? The Sea Knights and Chinooks. And I had flown, I'd been a Hearstmaster, so I'd flown in those a little bit, and this silver-haired gentleman, I mean, just not only is he a great man, a great mentor, but he's also a warrior, and he's been there, done that, right? Yeah. So he bonded with me. Well, he said, I would like to get a house to open up for, and I'd like to personally purchase it, and I want to open up to homeless vets. I don't want it to become a state-ran institution. I don't want it to be county funded. I don't want what everything else is going on. We've seen those. There's a lot of people taking advantage of veterans that don't give services to veterans. And that's where I drew the line. And so when he approached me with this, I said, absolutely, I will follow my mentors. I'll follow him into battle today. If he's in charge, I will go. He purchased a home, had 4 bedrooms. It was a beautiful home built in 1906. And we had filled that up. And so we saw a need to add on to this home. And so this home now is called Camp Flores. The official name is La Casa de Flores. It's right here in Santa Maria. And we have got 12 veterans off the street at any given time. We also have a downstairs that is strictly reserved for working with law enforcement. So and we all know what happens, if law enforcement gets a call out on a veteran in a crisis mode, they're going to be reaching out and saying, hey, Steve or whoever, can you guys come help assist, maybe de-escalate a situation, maybe not leading somebody to jail. People need to take a break sometimes, calm down. They need to talk.
Need someone to talk to.
Talk to a brother or sister.
Talk them through it.
So we have rooms, 2 beds available downstairs that is strictly pretty much reserved for the 24 to 72 hour just de-stress time. And the PD and the Sheriff's Department, they know that they have a policy. They can walk up. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. They can knock on that door and say, this veteran needs a place to lay his head for tonight. And we're going to go ahead and take care of that.
Wow.
So
that's a great point. We're going to take a quick break here. I want to hear a little bit more about that home and how it came about. And I'm excited about the basement downstairs reserved for those emergency situations. So this is Steve Baird. We're going to get back. Just pay attention to the commercials and what's going on. We'll be back to you momentarily. Stay tuned.
We've reached the age of live streaming on social media shows. You may ask, we're already ahead of the curve, so why do you need to advertise with us? Well, only 8% of the businesses in the US are using digital advertising to grow their business. That's 2 percentage points short of reaching critical mass, which will lead to faster results. We have 20 plus shows with a reach of over 80,000. We'll give you commercial ads, website link, and connections to nonprofit organizations. So get your brand ready for digital monetization, for we are looking for sponsors, which will bring more traffic to your business and ultimately mean more sales. So let's bring the world to you. Inquire now. Live streaming on social media is the best new way to interact and bond with your community. Do you love to encourage, motivate, and empower others, but you do not know how? Well, your opportunity starts with us on social media shows. We have 20 shows a week live streamed across the globe. With a reach of over 80,000 and growing. So you can host your own show, and you can be anything you want to be. So let's bring the community together, and let's bring the world to you. Join us now.
Hey everyone, you're back in the office with G.I. Joe Skoda. And it's a great day because it's not every time or every episode I get to meet with a fellow veteran to talk about they're doing great things in the community. We meet a lot of veterans who are struggling, need help, and maybe it's financial or housing or just finding a purpose in life. Steve over here has helped other veterans find a purpose in life. He talked about bowling and softball and so many other things, but we left off talking about this housing that you've got for other veterans struggling. Tell us a little bit more about that, Steve.
Well, we call it a stability house. So it's not just a house that's designed for homeless vets. I mean, there's at-risk veterans, people. There's somebody that's needing a break to get to school and be able to go to school and can't afford to rent a room somewhere. So our plan was really to provide all the services necessary at a reasonable cost, right?
Sure.
So the owner, he's probably losing money every month, to be honest with you. The simple fact is that it costs a lot to purchase a home in our area, things like that, right? Sure
does.
And we are not one of those groups that's going to charge you, $1,000 even a month to stay there. Our beds are $600 a month, and that comes with food and utilities and everything else, right? So our nonprofit, when Band of Brothers, we actually set out to become a nonprofit.
Yeah.
We were rejected. The name was rejected at the state level, obviously. It's a common name, Band of Brothers. I'm sure there's a lot of them. However, we developed what we thought would be the most applicable name, and that is the ECHO Group, and meaning the enlisted group, which we also have officers, of course. But the ECHO Group, military phonetic, right? For ECHO. And so the ECHO Group was able to go ahead and secure like the food bank, things like that. So we can go to the food bank as our organization and we can purchase food to supply for the house. The house is not a Band of Brothers home. It's a veteran's home. It's a privately owned home in which I'm the operational director. However, anybody that's in that home is always, you talk about being membership, right?
Yeah. To
be in Band of Brothers, you have to be a veteran. We don't have membership dues. We don't charge anything. There's certainly no hate. Well, maybe a little bit hazy. It's still acceptable.
We have to.
Yeah. So, but so when you get somebody in there that comes in the home, we have a 72-year-old in there, and where's he going to go? He was homeless. Where's he going to go? He's going to spend his days there.
Yeah.
And being a Band of Brother doesn't mean he's coming out and playing softball. But it means he's part of a family. And that's what the house is about. It's about family. We have a rose garden out front that was tribute to Tracy Gunderson. Young lady lost her life, I think, at 32 years old, had a heart attack. She had pre-existing conditions. But this girl would go help secure funding for veterans to be able to come. So we have opportunities to be able to get a veteran, bring them in, and most of the time we are able to get their rent covered for the first 6 to 9 months through a program called SSVF, which is Supportive Services for Veterans and Families.
Sure.
New Beginnings Counseling Service in Santa Barbara they're top notch. They are phenomenal. And, I can talk to them at 11 o'clock at night if I need to. I have contacts. That's what it takes to actually get things done and make things happen here.
Sure.
There's a lot of attention, that we're seeing go forward with housing veterans and small homes.
Mm-hmm.
I will always argue that if we build tiny homes and we don't have camaraderie, we're going to be pulling bodies out of tiny homes because the isolation is a killer. So
it has to be a community.
Yeah,
it can't just
it
be
has to be.
on its own.
I know a young lady here locally that is she started a stability house for female vets.
Yep.
I don't know if I can say her name.
Sandy Blair.
I love
her.
And,
fellow Air Force veteran.
Yeah. Well,
I've had her on my show in the past.
She's a rock star, and she kind of took. She inquired what we were doing with our home, and she took that guy and she of course put her awesome touch on it, and she's got something. So it's amazing to see in this community here how small our community is. Really, we've got two of the top-notch, housing for veterans as far as camaraderie and that piece of it. I know she's doing a lot with the
female
with the small houses too, and small tiny houses, tiny homes, and she's so in our talks, the dialogue has been about focusing on making sure that we have that family environment, that camaraderie, that accountability, because without that, we know it's going to be, here's another one. And then what do you do? We haven't done anything to address it, the suicide rate, things like that. So I'm looking forward to just going full speed and supporting her and seeing what she's going to do with it. I don't know where Band of Brothers goes from here on. I'd like to see chapters start in other places.
Sure.
We have always volunteered for helping other organizations do fundraising things, yet we've never thrown our own. So I think we're going to do our first ever fundraiser, and we'll see, because we had a shooting in Thousand Oaks last year, right?
Yes, we did.
And it was a Marine that came home from Afghanistan. He had been battling with mental health issues. Mm-hmm. His mother had reached out many times to law enforcement, mental health. Everybody is limited on what they can do, and there's no real aftercare resources. That Marine, lost his mind, lost his ever-loving mind, and went into borderline bar and took the life of 12 people. And
that Marine's best friend his mother was a good friend of mine.
Wow.
They lived just behind the bar over there.
Yeah. And so what pissed me off, to be frank about it, is that the Commandant of the Marine Corps came out and said he's not a Marine. Well, I disagree. Sir Commandant, because the fact is somebody's going over there to Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam. I don't care where you're going.
Doesn't matter.
You don't even have to, in some cases, you don't have to go anywhere, right? Law enforcement's seeing it. The fact is, somebody went somewhere, everything about what they were probably ever taught in life was flipped on its head. It was changed, and there was nothing there for them. There was no softball, there was no bowling. I mean, something like that simple could have been the difference of, hey, what are you doing, brother? Yep. Somebody's calling him. What are you doing, brother?
What are you doing, brother?
Or hey, the mom reaching out. Well, hey, I've heard of this group. Maybe they'll call them. And we're the type of people that would have driven down there. So those are the things we want to see, because we don't need any more veterans, number one, committing suicide. 22 a day. Even who knows if that number's high or low. Not all states report
every day. No,
and not all states have to report if it's a veteran when they commit suicide, including California.
Yep.
So the fact is, there's work to be done, and it really takes boots on the ground. And I couldn't be prouder than I am with the group of people we have and the things they're doing. Somebody comes in, they may be a Navy cook.
Yeah.
And then there be maybe a year from now, a Navy cook is struggling, and that Navy cook that came in that felt like, I'm just a Navy cook. Well, to me, I love my Navy cooks, because they feed you well. But feeling like they have no value then impacts another human being.
Sure
does. And now, an Air Force weatherman can get through it. And pretty soon these things are starting to be built. And now we're seeing it to where we have enough people in enough different backgrounds to where anytime somebody comes in, they're being welcomed, they're feeling familiar, which is huge. And then they're going on to realize that they have something, because all of us have our stories, all of us have our struggles. Yes. And when you turn those struggles into gold and you do something with them positive, it makes those struggles worth having gone through. I would go through my struggles again if it meant that I could do this. If I knew that this is what it would take, I can't say I wouldn't have. Nobody ever wants to think about suicide, but the fact is,
we've all struggled in something. We don't talk about it
often. And man, I'd love to say it's humankind, but it's not. It's not. We are a small percentage of the people on this planet that have served our country, and it is a small percentage.
Sure.
Like I said in the show, it doesn't make us better than, it doesn't make us worse than. We are different. And with that, we need to embrace that difference, and we need to stick together. Because when you surround yourself with like-minded folks, right, you're going to see that you don't feel like an outcast. And I think that the majority of complaints I hear from veterans are that I feel like a failure as a mother or a father. I feel like a failure as a husband or a wife. I feel like a failure in my employment because I was great at what I did, and now I can't even, sell shoes because
that's more common than everyone thinks out there.
Absolutely.
A lot of us have a lot of experience, and I retired with an MBA, Master's of Business. I couldn't find a job.
Yeah.
I had educated 20 years in the military, doing lots of things.
Yeah.
I could not find a job in Santa Maria. Maybe I'm coming in at the bottom level of something.
Yeah.
And spending all those years in school and experience, it's hard to work for minimum wage. So a lot of us struggle with those things. I wear this bracelet. I know it's hard to read. It's kind of a bam. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
read it.
If you can see that, I don't know if you can see it.
Brother.
Yeah.
I am getting better and better. Oh, I'm getting better and better.
I'm getting better and better. That's something I wear every day to remind myself where I was and compared to where I am today. What does that mean to you?
They're getting better and better?
Yeah. Some days you get more better than others, of course.
I'll tell you what, I never thought life would be as good as it was a couple years ago when I was just starting to come out of that haze. Little did I know it was going to be how great it was a year ago. And then to think about how great it is today. Like I used to look at my life as though up and down, right? Up and down.
Sure.
Because I would look at it on a daily perspective.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I stepped back, because somebody say, "How you doing today, Steve?" I'm terrible.
Absolutely.
Or I'm great.
Yeah.
But if you look at it day by day, it's this real unstable, like heartbeat.
Sure it is.
When you step back and you look at it a month away, the graph gets a little bit smaller, right? And maybe it's trending in a certain direction, right? But all in all, those sharp peaks and valleys aren't there as much, right? So then I started to step back and look at it as a year. So when I start to find myself the woe is me, the complaining, I look at the fact that, brother, I'm sitting next to you doing an interview right now.
I know it.
How awesome is that, man?
I would have done this a couple of years ago.
Is every moment awesome? No. But if I'm to give up at those moments there, and I'm going to create a permanent solution to a temporary problem, I'm never going to know absolutely how amazing things are. I have remarried the woman of my dreams. My children are in my life. Yeah. I have family and friends that I never thought I'd make another best friend. Those were high school and those were grade school. That's not true. I've met some of the most amazing people that I will always have in my life. Our wedding, 400 people. 400 people.
400 people.
The simple fact that I'm not going to not invite somebody, right? And it was an outdoor space, but it was like, I looked at my wife and said, there's no way I can't invite not one person because I care about all of them, and 400 people were there. And it's like, that's humbling, it's humbling. I am eternally grateful for what has been given to me. And I am set out on a mission to give back. Everything is given to me and then some, so that way others can give back in that same respect. And I am just blessed, man. I my complaints are small. My cousin lost his eyesight at 31 years old. He was never able to see his daughter. He's seen his son, but he's never been able to see his daughter. And I've always been amazed by him. I said, Matt, how do you do it, man? We're 43 now. We're the same age. So it's been 12 years, right?
Okay.
He said, Steve, an old man taught me once, the old man told me, if everybody in the world takes all their problems, their personal problems, and gets around a big circle, and they throw all their problems into this big old pile in the middle,
right?
And then you had to go back around and take an even share of that pile, right? Most people would rather have kept the little pile they had than take an even share of the world's problems. So, brother, that's a way I try to live my life now. Even though it seems like an insurmountable odds, you may be losing your house, your job, you may be losing your wife, your family, your kids. It's survivable, and there's help out there, and you never know how much of an impact, if you survive that you will make on other people. You never know that your darkest day may be your brightest moment.
That's a great point. There is help out there. A lot of us don't know how to find it. Well, if my audience wants to learn more about you or the Band of Brothers, how do they find you?
You can go to our website at www.ecovets.org. That's ecovets.org. We can also be found on Facebook, whereas we're a little older. The kids are doing Twitter.
Okay, I know. What's Facebook?
Facebook is, you can find us at Band of Brothers California. So make sure it's Band of Brothers California on Facebook. You will see a home plate with some softball bats. and our little slogan there. And you know, you can reach. I'll tell you right now, I don't know who your audience is.
Yep.
But if you have a veteran out there struggling, it's on the website, so I don't mind. My cell phone number is area code 805-458-0368. Again, 805-458-0368. If you have a veteran in crisis, we will respond. And if you happen to be in another state, we've got people out there. And so we're going to just keep trying to build this through relationships like this. So.
Well, I appreciate that, Steve. And obviously, you can tune into our show, socialmediashows.com or not Echo. I'm sorry, info@socialmedias.com and learn more about the information we have out there. But I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to this show and others that we do. And definitely find a veteran and try to just listen to them, listen to their story. Yeah. We all have problems. We have ups and downs in our lives, but we all still have a purpose, and we need to be reminded we have a purpose. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you very much for your time.
Hoorah! Hoorah! How's it go? Hoorah!
Hoorah!
Hoorah!